Well, good. What is it? Good morning still? I don't know. My days slide together. I'm Ed Parcaut here with Brian Galke, and we're ACES 53. That stands for a thing I came up with. Did you want to say hi real quick? Because he's
No,
just
I'm
standing
good.
there.
Roll
Okay.
with it.
All right. ACES 53. ACES stand for attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smile. Everything you should bring to the table in sales. And the one thing I'm lacking, the smile. And 53 is really stands for the first joker in the deck of cards, because the joker is with that unique ability you bring to the table, whether you learn it or you just have it naturally. And that's aces. Actually, you're supposed to be aces and a joker, but aces 53 seems cooler.
Yes.
Cool. Hey. Fonzie.
After the holidays, it's just all running together. I don't remember what day it is, what time it is.
Ever since I started doing way more at home, working from home, it's like, what day is it? Because you're not going to the office. I mean, I'm getting really busy with reverse mortgage stuff and
Good.
with what Ralph had set up for me, and taking these phone calls and connecting with him through text and all the stuff he's done. Huge difference. And what he did for my Google is amazing, because I moved my office to another location, and the guy texts me, goes, nice, because I was already there. Right? He had a little thing, Ed Parcaut, mortgage broker, lending for living, and it's like, what the heck? Because I mean, prior to that, it would take a lot longer. But if you're everything, and you don't know everything that needs to be set up, so you need to hire experts, is all I'm going to get at. And that doesn't mean it has to be somebody at $15,000 for that job. It has to be somebody who can do it for you at a reasonable pace, but it's an expert. And maybe they're not in the United States. They're in a different country.
It's all the books have been coming out lately. Buy Back Your Time, Who, Not How. That's what all the books are about, is everybody has that need to think, oh, I've got to do it all, instead of what do I farm out? We'll farm out. We'll have somebody come clean our house, have somebody come mow our yard. But when it comes to your business, it's like one of those, oh, I don't know if I want to. And I'm guilty of that. Like, somebody asked me today, do you have a VA? I'm like, no.
No,
I'm like,
I have a BA.
There you do. What's that?
Bachelor's of
Oh, I thought maybe it's another one. I thought you were saying like bastard thing.
Actually, I got the perfect place for you. It was sent to me by Ralph, and they got pods, which is a bunch of VAs in a group, and you send and it's cheaper. It's 400 and something for 20 hours. And then there's another one for 40 hours, which is an individual person you can get, or you can get somebody a part-time and full-time. But the pod, you send it to them, and somebody jumps on it and does it for you.
Oh, nice.
Because what he did is, and I knew he didn't do it, and that's how I found out with what he's doing, how he fixed my website. He used his pod. Because he said, you're only going to owe me the hard cost, and he hasn't hit me up. So that means it's only a couple hours at their hourly rate, if it's even that. And so it's important to have this type of stuff there for you, so you can get your stuff done quicker. And because there's been a year or so, we've been talking about go high level, and we've been trying to find people in the right place and the right this. And now it's all over the place. I just had two people in my industry. One guy's pretty big, and they're doing this AI 4-part video series on it. And I know at the end they're going to say, come with our white label, go high level, and we'll do all this for you, because it says how you can use AI to do the prompts and do the bots and all that kind of stuff, which is really cool. And it will really work. But the issue really is, how do you get on? They're going to say, okay, this is what we're going to do for you. Because one of the biggest things about high level is your reputation. And that's in the whole level where you can send out to get people to leave you reviews.
Right.
And you can go back in your thing. And they were talking about how these people in the last 3 years hadn't reached out to anybody. And one got 85 5-star reviews. Another one got this. Because I'm telling you right now, I did it and it was hard. And I'm at 73 just in the last 2 years. So I'm going to do the same thing, send it to my whole database, let it do it automatically. Everything that we think about, I know I'm talking a lot, everything that we would say, well, maybe not, because I don't want to fit. They don't care. The thing just does what it needs to do.
Exactly.
You need to get out of its way.
Baby. Yeah. When it's your baby, it's your golden turd, right? You're so, everything's got to be perfect, but I don't want to put it out to anybody. But you're right. It's what impact does it have on the person who bought it? That's all that really matters.
Well, and what I was talking about is how we will go, I don't like it. I don't want them to feel that way. Not everybody's us.
Right.
The people who are going to do the reviews are definitely not us, because I'm the worst at it.
Well, it's easy to self-criticize, right? That's a human. It was meant at one time to keep us safe, keep you part of the tribe, so you don't get ostracized, kicked out of the tribe, and then killed by something in the jungle. But it's not. We overthink that people pay way more attention to us and everything we do. That's like you get up in the morning and you start picking apart. Well, I've got a scar right here, and everybody's staring at the scar. Nobody knows you have the scar, dude. But when we see it, we see our flaws when everybody else is too busy with their own stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's people. Oh, don't want. Who cares? We know how you look. Exactly. We know how you sound,
and we still talk to you.
That's right. If we don't pick you apart, that's not right. A problem. Yeah. And you just need to move this. And I'm just getting at this thing will continue to hit them up, right? Until they do not disturb, because that's how I used to sell over the phone. I would call because I'm one of those guys that that it takes more than one time to call usually to get a response and move forward. Only 15% of the people do work right away, do that first call, move forward. The other 85%, they're a 3 to 6 to 8 month period of time to do something, and half the people drop off, then 3/4 of the people drop off, and then 90% of the people drop off. So if you can stay there the whole time, you're going to get that person.
Well, that's just it. What do they say? The money's in not the referrals, the follow-up
details. Oh,
the follow-up, because nobody does.
They say the money's in everything. It's just depending on how you use it.
Well, the funny thing about follow-up, I'm guilty of it, is people rarely do it. You think, oh, I got a new lead. What about the other person who's on your list? Like, I don't email my list nearly enough. And you and I talked about that when we had Rob and Alex on, and they were talking about newsletters is the new thing. And I saw that Perry.
Yeah, I saw that too. Oh.
Did you see the Perry thing?
No, I saw the other lady in our group. Go ahead. What's the Perry thing?
Yeah, well, same thing. Perry was offering a class like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it was only live, not recorded, on how to generate money from newsletters. And he's like, people will pay the subscriptions. Yeah.
Yeah, they will, because some type of something they'll pay for to get information every month. But it just depends. And I think she's the one in our group, Pam. She's only doing 100 of them, right? And 147 or something like that.
Yeah, because she based on how Nick set it up.
Yeah, but Nick is a unique individual.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is he has such a brain on him that blows us away.
Right? Agreed.
Yeah. And so we're all, okay, what's he going to say? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm saying, if you're not Nick, maybe you double it.
Right.
To get them out of, because who knows what you're going to get? Who knows?
Well, that was, and we never even talked about what we're going to talk about today.
We're just having a conversation. It's been holidays. We're off for a week. Yeah.
A long time ago, there were boxes that people had. So I remember one of the first boxes that came out with a celebrity who was doing the box once a month was Tim Ferriss. And you paid like $75 a month. Sometimes you get stuff and you're like, is this really worth $75? And then another month you get stuff like, damn, this only costs $75, because he would get sponsors put information in there. So the idea has been around for a while.
Right.
But it's interesting that things like that, physical boxes, are starting to make a comeback, right? Because everybody's tired of email and go download my stuff. And we used to wait and get excited to get mail, and then we got tired of getting mail, and we were excited to get email, and now we're tired of getting email, and we're excited to get mail again. So like when we had Joel on before, he's starting to see a return to direct marketing. What can you send somebody? Postcard, poster, flyer, letter, because they're starting to see that more so with brick and mortar stores. But you can see it's a way to stand out, because why you to write a book? Not everybody finishes a book, but if it's sitting around somewhere, somebody can see it with your name and your logo and go, oh, what's that about? Same type thing.
Right. Well, I have one of my clients today who said, I've been reading your book. It's really good. He goes, I'm a slow reader though. And it's my book's written, I don't want to say for 8th grade, but level, but it's pretty easy. And he's like, yeah, I'm 35 pages. You should be able to do the first 35 pages in like, I don't know, 40 minutes.
It's sitting down and getting
I know,
the time to focus. And that's oddly that you bring that up. Was telling somebody that's the weirdest thing over when Audible has become, I'll just take Audible with me to go. I forgot about the enjoyment of just sitting and reading, turning off the TV, everything else, and just sitting for a little bit with a book in hand and actually reading a book. It's kind of fun again.
No.
I like doing Audible. I still
like
take Audible with me because you can do it on car. Like somebody asked me the other day, well, when Greg Reed was here, and this was a couple months ago, he's like, "Oh man, what kind of radio station? What kind of music do you listen to?" I'm like, Audible. I just don't think about it.
Yeah,
so then it's a whole, I don't know, what do you want to listen to? Because I just don't listen. I'm not an audiophile. I'm not music lover. I mean, I like music, but I don't even think about it. I just throw in an Audible. I'm like, all right, what can I learn while I'm in the car or whenever I'm walking to the gym or whatever?
Hold that thought for a second. And but see, I still like Audible better than anything else because to me, I can put it on really fast and I can listen to a book in half the time. For me, when I read, I just fall asleep. It's not my favorite. It's never, and I think that's from being a kid. It was one of the worst things I could have done is read.
It depends on who the author is and who's reading it. Have you heard of Vivid Vision?
Yeah.
Okay. So he was a guest on one of the masterminds I'm in the other day, and I tried to listen to his Audible, and I was just like, so I bought they gave us his book when we were at the mastermind, and I plowed through that in a few days, and the book made sense, but listening to it, I was just like, yeah, okay.
That's why you put it on fast and you go,
yes,
1.75.
That, because I listen to 1.5 on pretty much everybody. But with his, I couldn't do it. There's another guy. I love the guy's book and I love watching him in person, but his Audible, because he has such a deep voice, I'm like, what?
Well, yeah, it's amazing how many, because I was listening to, we talked about this before we started the show. One of the things when they tell you to bring out your book, your book comes out, they talk about having a book funnel, but never really gets in your face about it, how important it is. And this is what you need to do. And I've been looking into it for a while and now I'm putting it together. Well, somebody referred me to somebody who wrote a book on it and he said, it's an easy read, 100 and so many pages. And the best part of everything out of this whole thing is I found where he goes to do these and have it fulfilled. So when people buy it for free, right. And you pay for shipping for this book. They fulfill it. They send it out. They do all that. So you don't have to do it for them or, with them. And so that when that's already done, it doesn't take your time away from you sending stuff out. It's done for you. Gotcha. Then you can focus on the other two parts of the thing that you've upselled, whether it's coaching or all that other stuff. And so it's a really good read, the book funnel formula.com.
Oh, that's the one you texted me earlier. Okay.
Yeah. Book funnel formula. And so and Ralph, again, I keep saying Ralph, and other than what we used to hear it.
Yeah.
And he was like, I ran into this guy in March back at high level and he's a really nice guy. And so check it out. And so I checked it out. I bought everything. It wasn't too expensive. So
good.
But it does have all the formulas and it tells you how to do your videos and he gives you the scripts to all you have to do is change out certain things and just, this is what you want in your video. This is what you want here. He'll do it for you. Remember how they say, give everything away or give it away cheaply and people will still hire you. Yeah. Exactly what he's doing. Because they only do 5 at a time.
5
clients.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Okay. I know if there are 5 funnels, 5 clients. Yeah.
Same thing.
Gotcha.
That's pretty much the same thing because they only do one funnel for one person, right? For their book. Yeah.
So does somebody then buy it on Amazon or is that when they buy it directly through the website?
Directly through you. Through the funnel. He's like, get away. Huh? Yeah.
Like getedsbook.com.
Right. But that's to me. And then that goes to Amazon. But the difference would be now that goes to my funnel will go through different things. And hey, do you want coaching? Because I do, group coaching, I do individual coaching, all that kind of stuff. And I also have this other thing, but you don't think about it until you start listening and you're like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. I should have done this a long time ago. And his big thing is you don't want to sell on Amazon because they get your list of all the people who bought. They don't tell you. You have no idea who they are. And this way you can use them as clients for down the road. He's like, if you sell 4,000 books, you make this, but if you do 400 through your lead funnel and they upsell and they do this, you make way more money.
Right.
And
it's the Russell Brunson, right? Like free book, but you get the bump, the one-time offer, the upsell.
Well, the free book with shipping,
you
pay for shipping of $9.99 or whatever. But these people are creating books. It's not like Russell's book. He's not $9.95 free shipping. It's different, but that bump, and these are books that they have created with nice covers through this company, and they're not that expensive compared to what we know could be expensive.
Oh yeah. Well, we've talked about on previous podcasts, there was a company that was charging people $40,000 to do a book, and then that company went out of business and reached back out to him and said, well, bad news is we've wasted your $40,000, but if you give us $20,000, we'll finish the book for you. And people were on the fence like, do I eat the 40? Do I risk another 20? You know, where does it go?
Yeah, and that's sad. They should have. I know it's a new company, but that's just ridiculous that they didn't have the money to finish that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go to the book funnel formula.com, it goes directly to his funnel. Mm-hmm. And that's what he says your funnel should basically look like. And you go through the step 1, step 2. He uses the same formula that he wants you to use.
Right. Well, so I was talking about this with, who was I talking to the other day?
I don't know. I have no idea. I wasn't there.
Yeah, there's no telling. Sometimes I just talk to myself and I think it's other people. No. We're talking about when you write a book now, it's one of those of, oh, you're an Amazon bestseller. Well, because it's easy, depending on what time you have it released and you have certain people go and the metrics, but you still have to, there's still power in being an author, period. Do you have a book is a common question. That's one of the things I get shot for and I need to work on by the rest of this year is finishing the book. Cause that's the first question. Hey, do you have a book? No. Oh, okay.
Yeah. You should have a book, Brian. Why don't you have a book by now?
Exactly. But it's
it's not like you're working,
but whoever goes, oh, I was going to get that book, but then I saw they weren't an Amazon Times bestseller. The only place that it really truly matters if you're a New York Times bestseller, that's a big freaking deal, right? Like,
yeah, that's 40. It's called like 30 grand.
Yeah.
You pay that to become that.
What's really funny is, and we were talking about this in
I don't mean this wrong. Fiction is different than nonfiction, right? That's the totally different with the Times bestseller.
Well, people talk trash on it, but the entire industry is based on stuff like that. Like, you're like, oh, my book is in Times Square. Look, it's up on a billboard for a second. Okay, that's no different than paying for a billboard on the side of the road. It's no different than paying for marketing. So people talk trash on it, but people do it all the time, right? If you're buying a Breitling watch, whatever, who was it that used to have?
You mean Breitling?
Yes. Were they the ones that had DiCaprio just holding a watch like right here on his hand instead of actually wearing it?
I don't remember.
Or Tag.
I think it was Tag.
Yeah, I think it was Tag now. But it's funny because an actor holding his watch here on his hand instead of on his wrist and just sitting with it, that company paid him to wear their watch to hope to sell something else. So it's funny because there's certain things that are like, oh, well, they paid for that. So does every company that advertises or markets. Right. I mean, there was one time I thought about buying followers, but it ended up that a few videos went viral. Didn't have to, but you can. Yeah,
but you don't want to.
Right.
Because you'll lose them right away. So. I keep getting hit up. You want to have more on Instagram? Oh, yeah, no.
So I figured out the rest of the magic formula. Have less than 50 posts, but somehow you have 200,000 followers, and you're going to have a picture with you in a luxury car, climbing onto a jet with a luxury boat, and you eating somewhere. And as soon as I click on their profile and I see those, I'm like, done. Because they're going to, oh, love your content. Thanks. Oh, can I help you? No.
No, I constantly, we all get it through DM and then, the other big thing you got to be worried about is a lot of these companies are now going, hey, we want you to do these videos for us and do this sign up under our thing and do get connected and we'll do all this. And, but I've had a couple companies reach out to me personally, that company, not those things. Right. I have all those things too, but I'm just saying real stuff. So
there was I can't remember if I talked to this one over the holiday or not. Somebody reached out, hey, we love your stuff. Would you be interested in being on a podcast in Vegas? I'm like, yeah, I know the guy whose podcast is. Cool, fill out this form and we'll see. And you get all the way through it. And the last thing in the end is, oh, by the way, this to be on his podcast costs you $6,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah, no.
Well, do you know who's been on the podcast? No.
I never even seen it. I don't even know who it is.
Yeah.
But Podmatch is a place to go if you want to get connected to be on people's podcasts. If you want to have your own, podcast, you want to get people on it. And I had a couple of those where, they popped up, you match and you do, and they're like, we want you to, it's like, no, I'm not going to pay, or I'm not going to get some celebrity service that charges me $1,500 a month to get on 4 podcasts. I'm on way more than that without their help.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about today, we didn't even get into the whole thing. We're going to continue on from last week, which was about, or week before last, which is about how to be the authority in your industry. And the biggest thing that I'm hearing from a lot of places is to be the authority, get on podcasts. Yeah.
Well, podcasts, what's the advantage of it? It gets you in front of an audience that you don't know.
Somebody else's audience. Yes.
That's right.
And then if you take that,
it's exposure.
Right. I'm sorry. We're talking over each other.
Yeah.
But you're right. It does do that. But you need to you want to make sure they have video. Because there's a few of I've been on, they're like, we only do audio. Really? It's 2023, right?
Yeah. It was
I don't have a fax machine either, because the 1900 I got rid of. It's like, come on, fax machine. That's like, send it over on a fax, please.
There was a really good one that this guy, he set out probably the most detailed what his expectations were. And he's like, listen, it's 25 minutes. You don't get on to, I don't want to hear your backstory. I want to help my audience. You'll get cut off. Don't tell me your history. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah.
No, and that's good. Because I don't go into major background on people. I just kind of, quick. Sometimes I do, depending on who it is. But that's good. That should be that way.
I liked it. Here's what it is. Here's the name of my podcast. Here's it is. Look, everybody's got a story. You don't have to start off with yours. It's 20 minutes. You need to be aware of this. Don't ramble on. He gave great things. I don't want to hear your backstory. I want 3 tips that you're going to give him. Tell me in advance. You had to send them to him. And if you didn't send him the 3 things that you knew you were going to cover, he would bump you. And I liked that. I thought it was a really good way to set up a podcast to keep people on track. And it's probably because he only has 20 minutes, but it was very well done for that 20 minutes.
And that's how it should be. I mean, sometimes I want the backstory, but sometimes you don't need the backstory like he's talking about. Can you send that to me? I'd like to see his stuff.
Yeah. I'll forward it to you right now.
But I do a lot of them and I record them. And I had somebody who, when they signed up for the time that I had, I didn't see this in their notes. They said, instead of 6:30, because I guess it was 6:30 their time, can we do 7? Can we hit for 7? It's like, I think, and at 6:30, 6:38, I cancel it and reschedule. Tell them that if they want to come on, they need to reschedule. He sends me that. I said, it's like, no, you don't control when I record. I can't do it at that time. These are the times I can do it at.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I interviewed a lady the other day, and she's like, she has a podcast I'm going to be on in a couple weeks. And she's like, I'm so tired today. I've been batch recording. I'm like, how many do you do? She goes, I'm up to 250.
Holy crap.
Not that day, but that's her number. And she's been doing it for a short period of time, but her course comes out in January. So she wants to get all these podcasts out to get her course going.
Is she in California?
Nope.
Okay. We'll talk about who it is later.
Really nice lady. She does for business owners how to protect yourself so you don't get into lawsuits and other stuff. And she's an attorney in the state she's at, but she helps everybody make sure you set up your thing properly. Nice. And trust everything, so that makes sure that you're protected in case it fails, or in case one gets sued. Because a lot of people have one company own a couple of companies,
right?
And then that one company gets sued, and because they're connected through, they all get sued.
Right.
It's not a true holding company.
Have you ever heard the Disneyland story, or Disney World? We'll just call it Disney story, about every single seat on every single ride is its own LLC.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So every single seat on every single ride is its own LLC. So if you get injured or hurt or anything like that, and you try and sue, you sue for that one seat. It's kind of smart, right?
It's very smart.
Think about it. Yeah.
Very
so
smart.
that. Imagine how many LLCs they have just on the amount of seats they have for rides.
Yeah. Well, it's smart because it's a way to protect yourself and put layers in, which a lot of people, that's just wrong. No, you got to protect yourself in this day and age when people want to sue for any reason at all.
That's, growing up, I
We're
was a
way off
bartender.
subject, but anyway,
Yeah. Kind of down
I'm
the
gonna
line.
bump you. I'm just
Do it. I wanted to be a bartender, or I wanted to own a bar when I was younger, because I was a bartender. I thought, oh, it'll be fun. You get to meet people, do all these things. I don't think I'd own one now, because the liability is ridiculous. If somebody can go and get drunk at 10 bars and they have one drink at yours, and they can sue you and all 10 of the places they went, asked for, and paid for a drink, is crazy.
That's only in Texas.
What's that?
That's only in Texas.
I'm pretty sure it's almost anywhere. But on top of that, everybody likes to fight now. You don't know who's MMA or not. I would never be a bouncer. Back in the day, okay, not a big deal. Taller than most people. Now you don't know who knows what, and people like to fight. It's just not anything I do.
Well, there's a lot of things. I mean, I looked at when I'm doing what I'm doing to rechange my whole life, just because I want more work-life balance. I mean, I've been crazy, and it's usually I care about everybody else first, and now I'm like, fuck it. If it doesn't work for me, it doesn't work for me, right? And that maybe that's right or wrong, but that's just what I'm doing. But that's on my way, because we are both authorities in our industry. It's just, how are you getting there? We talking about getting on podcasts and becoming that way. I started on radio, and people go, well, he must know what he's talking about. He's on radio. Right. It's like, he's on television. He must know what he's talking about. Any of those things, if you're on it, they don't know how you got there and how to get there. And I had one guy reaching out to us through when we had him on Real Estate Jerky radio show. And he's like, how'd you guys get on the radio? And Mike's like, ask Ed. He's been doing it for, since 2018.
Right.
Yeah. So, and that's what I'm saying. There's so much you can do to become the authority and get into stuff. And I got on a documentary, not because of me. Steve opened the door and I walked through it, and that's how it is. And that's what he said. He goes, I opened the door. You walked through it and did everything else. So,
well, look at even what's his name? Evan Carmichael. And there's so many people. There's a guy did you meet James Dixon?
I have to see his face. Probably.
He's the guy. So he's got his Instagram as Superman is for real. He had 11 surgeries, ended up having to have his leg amputated. And he'll tell you, like a year and a half ago, he was a factory worker, just.
No, that's how I know, because you talk about him. That's
okay. Yeah. So he's got 12 million subscribers, I think now, or maybe he's got something ridiculous, like high on his Motiversity YouTube channel. And a lot of what he does is he plays other people's clips and things, and he adds to it. And he's got a good deep voice like you. But he was working in a factory. Now he's a speaker going all around, but he found his niche and he's out there now, and he's very high paid. I just saw he got hired to go speak in the UK and all these other things. So not everything is an overnight success, but it is possible if you get the right attention at the right time.
Yeah, but he wasn't overnight.
Well, no, but I'm saying if you look at 2 years to be where he's at, is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, but he hurt. When did he lose his leg?
Oh, well, that was a long time ago, but he could have been.
What I'm getting at is he dealt with that for so long, overcome it, got through this stuff. And I have no idea who he is, but I'm just saying. And now he has the story of that, which does really well and connects with people, because people have stories.
Yeah, well, he could have been
people on a story. Huh?
Yeah. And he could have been a victim, right? He could have been, oh, poor me, this happened to me. Instead, he turned it around, and it does inspire a lot of people to do it. But it is interesting, like kind of like what you were talking about is, how do you become the authority? Some people have been working on it for forever, and you don't know about it because you don't know their story until they become popular. You could go through Oprah Winfrey. Nobody knows that Oprah was told she's too fat and ugly to be in news and everything else. But once she had her own show, all of a sudden, oh, it's Oprah. She's an overnight success. It's like, no, not really.
Yeah, but again, when we're talking about authority, it depends on your industry, right? I mean,
right.
But why talk about, you weren't on 2 weeks ago when I did it, but basically, because you were on your thing, but you put in the time, you learn your craft, and then you can talk about it, and then you got to build it. Bob, look at Steve. Steve wasn't overnight.
No.
And please don't get me wrong. He's still not.
Right.
I mean, he's very good at what he does, but he's still not way over the top.
Yeah. He's still not the highest paid speaker. He's a well-paid speaker.
But I don't mean about that. I'm just talking about what one would say authority in he changed this industry. So now he got to become more of an authority in that industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what can you do to stand out against your competition? That's all we're talking about.
Exactly.
So they choose you.
Right. So Janine, like the body language expert, Janine Driver. What made her
I
go
thought you were
viral?
talking about the other Janine.
Who's the other Janine?
There isn't one.
You never know.
Just get moving, Mr. Name Dropper.
No, her TED Talk is what made her basically put her on the radar with everyone. Because you look, she's in industry. She was law enforcement previously. But when you say body language books, you can go to the bookstore and there's shelves and shelves of it, right? So she had to write a book, but the TED Talk then helped become a New York Times bestseller. So you're right. It's not about just one thing. It's, are you trying all these different areas to make yourself become the authority in that area? And you mentioned it before. Not only are you on the radio, you got asked about a documentary. So you were introduced.
I wasn't asked. I was in a documentary.
Right. Well, I mean, you were asked, but you could have said no. Well, and been
I was a
dumbass.
I would have said no. I changed my whole schedule to. They're like, "Can you be available on Saturday?" Let me check. Hey, wife, I'm coming home. I'm taking a flight from here to here. Renting a big ass expensive car because it's the closest to get there on time. Is the only way to be there. I did everything under the power to be there to talk, so I could be in that documentary. So
exactly.
The question is, what are you?
Just say, I won't do it, or I can't do it, instead of how can I do it?
Right. I'm about doing everything that makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I listened to that documentary. I'm like, oh man, I was horrible. I mean, I was good information and they enjoyed it and they liked it. And I've had people call me on it and talk to me about it because they've seen it. And but it's still the way we talk. A year, 2 years, 3 years later, it's like, okay, we've grown so much in those past years. I've grown so much this just in the last 4 months, being the president of Rotary, doing the talks each week and everything we have to do, that it's like I don't, you get done, you're like, remember you? I'm like, no, I have no idea what I just did.
But that proves the point, right? Stepping up to the leadership position is what makes you an authority. You could just be a member.
I was a member for years.
Yeah. Right. But you never had to raise your hand and say, I want to do more. And that's what makes you were a member before, but now you'll always be a president or past president, right? So get involved. Yeah, get involved with things. You're right. And that's one of the things that people don't think to do. Like, how often did you have to speak for free before you ever got paid to speak or do anything? How many things did you have to go into the hole for the long-term payoff?
I don't know, Brian, how many times have you had to do that?
Oh, quite a bit. Yeah. Right.
I mean, I heard you the other day. I was like, wow, you've come a long way.
Oh yeah. From the first time.
Oh yeah.
There was one time I remember I went to go speak at something and they gave me, instead of bottled water, a glass water, and I was trying to get a drink like this.
Yeah, that was at the second time after we met, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was. I don't want to say where it was because I remember you saying they were shaking. Your bottle was shaking.
Well, no, this was a local. This was for Texas educators or something like that. Yes, it is funny. Still, when I have the slides up, not a problem. I start overthinking it when I don't have the slides, so I could still use to improve in that area. But it is what it is.
Well, that's one of my crutches right now. Is I used to have an agenda in the beginning and then a PowerPoint. Now I just have the PowerPoint. And I was telling somebody else, I walk all over, which they're not used to that. They're used to people. Yeah, they're used to at the podium. I'm like, I need a freaking mic. I'm walking everywhere. So and I walk over and I do this and I do that. I'm like, no. I'm not standing up there. The past presidents did all that. I'm walking all over. And I walk up to people and they're talking. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to talk here. Do you have something,
So you know who Jim Rohn is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Love Jim Rohn's content. Love listening to the guy. If you've ever seen one of his videos, he just sits at the podium and he points like this at you the whole time. Well, and I'm like, no, when you have Zig Ziglar, who is working the entire stage at the same event, and then he's there and he barely moves from outside of his podium, it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been at places where they jump off the stage, follow me, and they're like, that's not how it's supposed to be.
Right. Sorry,
our camera can't follow you.
Yeah.
Well, then who cares? I'm here for the people. And that's the thing is, my push this year for Rotary is veterans, and we're here for veterans, but I'm here for the members of my Rotary, period. So my meetings are run for them, and then we have a speaker. The speaker is the second thing. not the first thing. Where prior to this, it's all about the speaker. You do a few things, you do this. No, it's all about us. It's all about the members. I want everybody to have a good time. We're actually growing now, our clubs. And I'm not saying it's all me. I'm just saying it is. I put some things into place and other people stepped up and it is growing. I have Ralph. He put in high level into our communications through Rotary. So guess what's happening? People are showing up to summer socials by the droves because they were reminded of it. These other events we're putting on, they're showing up because they're being reminded of it and they sign up. Like we're having our winter thing for Christmas, right? And normally they never have anybody sign up ahead of time. Somebody was like, well, we're going to have 100 people. I'm like, there's no way we're going to have 100 people here. There's no way at all. It's Christmas. There's multiple places that people can go. They're not always going to come back here. Plus, you guys didn't set it up early enough and get people to sign up for it.
You know, you can tell who's using Go High Level now because you're right. I get that. Hey, reminder, in 1 hour, we're up for you this. And you kind of
that's Calendly too. That's Calendly too.
Yeah.
But Go High Level, I know it by how the thing looks,
the layout,
and how what it says across the top and where it says this. You jumped for a second there. You all right?
Yeah. No, I'm here.
Okay. So, I mean, and it's use whatever helps you. Because when I was looking at that book funnel thing, I was telling you about, the guy was saying, okay, we used to use lead funnel and then we'd have this for this. And then we had a calendar add-on and then we had this. So it would cost you $768 a month. And now we have book funnels. IO that you can sign up for, and instead of $297, we're gonna give it to you for $97. I'm like, okay, I wonder what that is.
Can't imagine what company it is that you get 40% commission on. So,
well, I'm just saying that's so basically that's what they're using is everybody's setting up their stuff to use it because it's great, it works. I'm using it for all my podcasts now, and it puts it on the calendar, and I use it when people are calling. I had somebody call in through my website because we changed a few things and it was a reverse mortgage, which normally I wouldn't have gotten.
Right.
I mean, I get them all the time, but it would have went through there are people who answer our phones and then they would find me and transfer it to me and that kind of stuff. This way it was straight to me. I called them back. You're the only one that answered the phone that we called. Really? Okay. Anyway, we done?
Yeah. I was just getting ready to type you that.
Were you?
Yeah, I was like, I'm about to start dancing here. So,
oh, you gotta go. Oh, you're set. You're a little bit later than me sometimes. All right. Well, we're gonna continue on this. Like we kind of rambled today. We'll send out the sheet for Thursday that says you got to be on point. This is what are your 3 questions?
Yeah, that'll never happen with us.
Well, we were usually right on and we kind of stay on there, but we talked. It's nice to have a conversation, which is what I like to do.
Yeah. And well, it's us catching up after the holidays. Right. And then what are we going to work on for the rest of the year? And that is the goal for both of us is how do we continue to become the authority? Because now we're going into that, events and things die down. Not a lot of people want to move during, December. So what are you doing during the lull period to keep your business growing, going into a strong 2024?
Well, one of the things I'm doing, I never really promoted my mortgage business. You understand? For me personally, I did everything else to say about who I am and everything else about podcasts, this and that. And then this company I do a lot of business with, they're like, hey, we have all this stuff to go in and there's multiple, and you can change all this stuff. It's made a difference, huge difference. Yeah.
See, and it all because they always say, what, you're one relationship, one person away from changing. Yours is Ralph.
Okay. Yes and no. I did that before Ralph, but Ralph is the other thing for help. I've been trying to find somebody to do what I want, but back to your thing, direct mail, you call it direct marketing. Direct mail is huge. And it's not just for brick and mortar. It's for people that you have on your list because 100 people on your list is one transaction a month.
Yeah. 1 out of 100. Crazy.
Yeah. So if you have 1 million, that's a lot of deals.
Yes.
That's why they say grow your list. All right. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate you. Best way to support us is go to our YouTube channel, Aces53, and subscribe. Brian, thanks for being here. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
my pleasure. Yes, you will. If I don't talk to you sooner. All right. Let me make it a